Today our focus is learning about the understanding of place value and how base 10 can affect that. So we're going to talk about base 10 is understanding of the value and how it changes when looking at place value. And the easiest way I can tell you is to think about money. So let's say that you have a dude or dudette with this much money and a dude or dudette with this much money. Well, this person right here, they have 4 tens, so that's like saying they have $40. And then this person has 4 hundreds, so that's like saying they have $400. Now, obviously, this guy has more money than this guy, but the question is how much? And there's 3 different ways you can look at it. You can look at multiplying, dividing, or multiplying by a fraction. So what number can we multiply 40 by to get 400? 10. Which means if you flip it around, so it's saying 400 is 10 times larger than 40. If I go the other way, if I say, okay, well, how many times smaller, or divide, is 40 than 400? I would divide it by 10. And what really gets weird, which is new for a lot of 5th graders, is you can multiply it by a fraction. And the fraction is going to be 1/10. Notice that all of these numbers have something in common. You're multiplying by 10, you're dividing by 10, or you're multiplying by 1/10. So once you find the pattern number, you've basically found everything. So if I was to summarize that using words that we can keep in our notebook, we can say that 400 is 10 times greater than 40, or, and that's probably how you're used to seeing it in 4th grade, or 40 is 10 times smaller, talking about multiplying by a fraction of 400, or you could say that 40 is 10 times less than 400. And with that, we're talking about division. So we're basically just trying to find pattern numbers. And the farther away the place values are, the greater the pattern number is going to be. So let's work out another one. So let's say that this dude or dudette has this many dollars. If you have 7 in the ones place, then that means that they have $7 because it's 7 ones. If you have 7 in this place value, then that's 7,000. And obviously, 7,000 is quite a bit greater than 7. And it's going to be greater in a pattern number of 10. 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million. So what number do I need to multiply 7 by to get 7,000? Now, I'm going to go and tell you it's either going to be a 10 or a 100 or a 1,000 or a 10,000. So we know that our main number is going to be a 1. So what's a trick that we can follow to help? Well, how many place values is it away? 1, 2, 3. So that means it is going to have 3 zeros. So it's saying that 7 times 1,000 is 7,000. Or if I was to go the other way, what can I divide 7,000 by to get 7? Well, 7,000 divided by 1,000 would get me 7. Or what fraction can I multiply it by? 7,000 times what fraction number is going to get me 7? Well, if I multiply by 1,000 or I divide it by 1,000, that means I'll be multiplying by a 1/1000th. So once we found our first pattern number, we've kind of found everything. Now this was all 4th grade-ish material except for maybe the 1,000th part. But whenever we're talking about this and we're talking about money, this also is going to work for our decimal place values, which we will focus on page 2. So now that we're on page 2, and what I've made for you down here is kind of a cheat sheet, guys. is we need to figure out, okay, well, how much bigger, we need to figure out how much bigger is this number than, or I'm sorry, excuse me, how much smaller is this number than this number? Well, this 8 is in right here. This is in the hundreds place. So that 8 is actually worth 8 pennies, 0.08, because it's 8 hundredths. And this 8 is worth 8 ones, so it's just 8 wholes. So if this dude has $8 and this dude has 8 pennies, obviously this dude or dudette has more money. The question is, how much more money? And we need to constantly be thinking about these types of problems with the idea of money in our head. So the question is, if I want to go from 8 pennies to $8, how many groups of 8 pennies will I need? Well, I know it's going to have a 1, and it's either going to be like a 10 or a 100 or 1,000 or a 10,000 or whatever. And we're going to go back to my little trick I taught you of counting how many place values you are away, and that's how many zeros it'll be. So it's saying that if you have 8 pennies 100 times, that would be worth $8. Well, what if I was going the other way? If I was going from $8 to 8 pennies, I would have to divide that by a 100. Or if I was to think about it as a fraction, I would have to multiply my 8 wholes by 1/100th. And what I have down here for you is your cheat sheet information for, hey, if I'm multiplying, what am I doing? You're basically just jumping your decimals. Well, if I'm dividing, what am I doing? Choose a different color. Well, you're basically just jumping your decimals. Well, what if I'm multiplying by a fraction? Guess what you're doing, guys? You are basically just jumping your decimals. The question is, which way are you jumping them? So what we're going to do is we're going to work out a couple of these questions that are on the left side together, and then we are going to, you're going to work out some other ones by yourself or with the people in your group. So let's just put stars next to a couple random ones. Let's do number 1 together, number 4 together, number 9 together, and number 6 together. So let's go to number 1. It says 0.07 times 10. Well, what would that number be? If I look for the times 10 part of my cheat sheet, it's right here, and it says I need to jump my place value to the right 1 time. So I'm going to grab my decimal, and I'm going to jump it to the right 1 time. So it's right here. So that means that 0.07 times 10 is 0.7. That's my answer. You're literally just jumping your decimal. Number 4, once again, you're jumping your decimal and you're multiplying it by 10 squared. Now, I don't know what 10 squared is for my cheat sheet, but I know that 10 times 10 is a 100. So I need to find my times 100 cheat sheet, which is right here. And it says I'm going to move my decimal to the right 2 place values. So I'm just going to jump that decimal over. 1 jump, 2 jumps. Okay, so that means that 0.03 times 100 is just a plain old 3. Now what happens if you're going the other way, like number 6? Number 6 is special because you do not have a decimal to jump. So I'm going to make one. Put it right at the end of the number. It doesn't change the value if I put the decimal there. It's still a 70. If I put the decimal here, it's not a 70 anymore. That's a 7. So I'm going to put that 7 and keep it a 70. And I'm going to find my cheat sheet. I'm dividing by 100. So I'm going to look. Okay, here it is. Divide by 100. It says jump your decimal to the left. The left, 2 place values. 1, 2. So 70 divided by 100 is 0.7 or 0.7D. Doesn't really change the value either way. And the last one, I'll do two more. I'll do number 9, I'll do number 10. I have 0.083 times 1,000, so I'm gonna look at my red stuff. The cheat sheet for times 1,000 is jumping to the right 3 place values. So I'm gonna take that decimal, I'm gonna jump it to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. And 0.083 times 1,000 is a plain old 83. My last one, which is number 10, but the one got cut off, I'm going to be multiplying, but I'll be multiplying by 1/10. So I need to find my multiplying by 1/10 cheat sheet. It's right here. And it says jump my decimal to the left 1 place value. Okay, well, I'm going to rewrite the number, 0.49. And if I jump it to the left 1, well, there's nothing over there. So I need to put, so I don't have this place value just by itself, I need to put a 0 as a placeholder. So if I did 0.49 times 1/10, my answer is actually 0.049. Now what you are going to do is you're going to finish answering the questions, question 2, 3, 5, 7, and 8, with the people in your group using my red cheat sheet stuff, my green cheat sheet stuff, and my yellow cheat sheet stuff. Find the answers by jumping the decimals, and then you are going to work on page 3 with the people in your group, and then you will check your answers against both my pages at the very end.